Hey guys, check this out. I am officially now sponsored by Dubby. Dubby is a clean energy drink made to give you focus with no crash. If you guys are like me, you're always needing a burst of energy, especially with one with no crash. Dubby contains vitamins, amino acids, a nootropic, and 150 milligrams of caffeine. It keeps me awake with no jitters, guys. Check it out. Merch link is in the bio. Dubby.
We hate that. You already know who it is. It's the radioactive Bobby Danny Limelight, United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion. And make sure you tune into the Alliance blog every week. You heard it here first. Straight from Bobby.
The Alliance blog, the Alliance blog, the Alliance blog, the Alliance blog. Alliance? If you put an S in front of Alliance, you have Salliance. That's me.
This is Lois Brain here, and I'm advising you to do yourself a favor and watch the Alliance Guys podcast.
Are you ready?
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
I'm building an alliance. God bless the internet.
Okay, let's party.
It's showtime.
It's time for the Alliance Guys podcast with your hosts Kevin Frazier, Jaden, DKM, and J. Cal.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Alliance Guys podcast. Or maybe the Alliance Guy podcast. I'm not sure. Hey, this is J. Cal, and each and every Thursday, I normally have two of my pals with me, Mr. DKM and Jaden, but evidently, it's just me. It's me. It's the DDP. Actually, no, it's the JAY. And we're coming to you live from the Alliance Blog Studios. Is that a real thing? Anyways, what's up, guys? It is Thursday. Your boy's been in jury duty all day. I'm a free man. I've been released. I shall be released. And it's exactly what I was thinking, you know. Tried the new Chicken Mac today. Sucked. Won't ever try it again. And that's pretty much my day. How was your day? Each and every Thursday, we come to you to talk NWA wrestling. And this Thursday is no different. I'm here. And we're going to talk some wrestling. We're going to talk NWA. There's not a lot of news with regards to what's happening next for the National Wrestling Alliance. We haven't heard a thing. Billy Corgan is keeping his lips sealed. It's tight-lipped. We just don't know what's going to happen next. And honestly, does it matter what happens next? I know a lot of us were hoping that there would be a return to YouTube, but does it matter? Sorry, my water lid is not sealed correctly, and I don't want to spill all over myself. Does it matter where the NWA shows up next? Does it matter to you? Well, we know that they just filmed 2 days of tapings this past weekend, and it's a good thing that they got in and out of Tampa as quickly as they did, because obviously some of the destruction that I've seen from Hurricane Milton has been very, very destructive, right? Tropicana Field is just a mess. And I'm kind of concerned, like, what does the Bobarts Arena look like? Has anyone checked in Sarasota to see what the Bobarts Arena looks like? Because we're supposed to be having another signature live event coming up very, very soon from that very arena. And I'm wondering what's going on, obviously there's alternatives. Obviously, if things don't work out, that they can go to different venues, but I'm sure there's tickets already been sold. And, recently TNA Wrestling had to move one of their live event, I believe is their television tapings, back to Nashville, their old stomping grounds there in Nashville. And I'm sure the NWA can do the same thing on a moment's notice, but it's kind of frightening to think about it. Aside from the devastation, look, I don't want to undermine what's happening out there in Florida, the damage, everything. It's been very, very sad, honestly. And, I've seen some friends who have lost everything. and there's people who have been very fortunate, but there's been people who've lost their homes, people who've had catastrophic damages to their homes, people who are losing their lives. So I mean, I don't want to devalue the travesty that's happening in Florida, but like, what if the NWA can't return to the Robarts Arena? You know, it's something that I've been thinking about, and I don't know. What do you guys think? Is anyone here from Florida? Is anyone here in the chat? Have any of you guys seen any of the damage that's been in around Tampa or Sarasota or anywhere of the towns that the NWA runs in? And how does it affect the local independents that are out there, like Coastal Championship Wrestling or even the FTW Wrestling? I'm just curious about that. Obviously, this isn't going to be the same show that we normally do because I don't have my pals with me tonight. So it's going to be a lot of me talking to a lot of you. And if you don't answer, it's going to be a very boring show. So I hope you will join in with this. I do want to say what's up to my homies, my pals, my buds, my friends, my guys, the Alliance guys that are in the chat. First and foremost, Luthez got his ham Sammy. He's got his ginger ale. I'm telling you, man, this isn't an official endorsement because they're not paying me, but I absolutely love the diet zero sugar Dr. Pepper, strawberries, and cream. It's pretty magnificent. And the other day I threw that in with some protein. I bet you Jaden would tell me that was a good idea because you need to get extra protein when you're trying to lose weight. But hey, speaking of Jaden, what's up, my friend?
I don't know what protein you're talking about, but it's definitely good to add as much protein as possible. You should look to add, especially if you're trying to put on muscle, but as much protein as you can.
Okay, so it's a trend that's going on the internet, on TikTok specifically, and they're using like the Fairlife protein, and they're mixing like some of the cream sodas like Dr. Pepper, A&W, and they're mixing it with the protein. And I tried it, and I admit that my protein is not the most flavorful. It's the Costco. It's whatever. It's not the good kind, and it was okay. It's a nice way to add some protein into my day without really having to consume a lot of calories. But have you tried anything like that before?
No, but I've heard about it adding into things like cream soda and to root beer and even orange soda. In fact, I've even added a good quality protein to orange juice into a blender, and that's actually been very good.
So, you know me, and I don't hide anything. You guys, if you've known J Cal for a while, if you've been watching these live streams for a while, or just know me from real life, my weight fluctuates, and it has all my life. And I guess it's about 8 years ago, I was really dieting hard. Really, really hard. I was going to the gym a lot. I was running a lot. And one of the things I did was I would take a fruit smoothie with orange juice, like berries, like kale or spinach, whatever I had. And then I'd throw in a scoop of my protein. And it was good, man. I thought that was really, really good. Banana, some berries, some OJ. But I haven't done that in a while just because we don't really keep OJ in the house lately.
It's not the best thing because most OJ is very sugar additive, or even in some cases other things to add flavor to it. But even just fresh squeezed oranges is just such a great thing, or even oranges themselves, just take them out of the peel.
Yeah.
Even take a little bit of that pulp of the skin and put a little bit in there for some of that flavor.
Yeah. We went in California, Southern California.
Heard they had oranges there.
Yeah, we do. And where I live is actually where a lot of the oranges kind of originated, Riverside County. And in Riverside, they have an orange, like kind of like a museum. And you can go learn about oranges and the different varieties and how they kind of all had been cultivated and things. And we bought a bag of the oranges like you do. And they sat on the shelf for like, not shelf, they sat in the kitchen for like 2 weeks. Like, what are we gonna do with all these oranges? And so my wife went and juiced all of it, and we had like fresh OJ for like 2 weeks, and it was not 2 weeks, it didn't last that long, it was like 2 or 3 days, and it was gone, and it was delicious. And I love fresh squeezed orange juice.
I know your family's not a cake family, but Orange cake is actually something I highly recommend too.
Orange cake?
You take basically a vanilla cake recipe, and you substitute some of the ingredients with orange juice and a lot of that orange peel, the shavings of the orange peel, so you can get that orange zest.
Yeah.
Even a little lemon in there, just to add a little something to it. And it's actually a very surprisingly good cake. Orange goes very well with vanilla, and you can make an orange cream icing with some cream cheese and some orange zest, maybe a little bit of orange juice, a little vanilla extract, confection or sugar, and it's amazing on an orange cake. Lemon cakes are another thing, but orange cakes are completely different. They tend to be a little sweeter, and it just complements the orange and the vanilla very well together.
That that doesn't sound bad. Growing up, my mom used to make. She called it 50-50 Jello. So she would take like orange Jello and then like vanilla whipping cream and then like put it together. That was pretty good.
See, orange and cream go very well together, like an orange soda or a creamsicle.
Yeah, that's exactly what it tastes like. It was a creamsicle.
So that's why the vanilla works very well with that too.
I want to say hello to everyone else in the chat, although we will talk more about sweets momentarily. Noob is in the house. What's up, Noob? Luthez is here. What is going on, Luthez? Willie Bowen's in the house. The joke of the day is, hi, gentlemen. Tyrus has a new job. He's the new Goodyear blimp. That's an oldie but a goodie, Willie. I like that one, but I know you've said that one before. Roswell says he is in the house. And Lou pointed out that you were late to the show in protest because there were no green M&Ms in your dressing room, as per your writer.
I actually always want, if I'm going to do candy, I definitely want Reese's Cups.
Reese's Cups. Yeah, that's a good way to go. I like the I was telling somebody the other day, like Reese's is my love language, right? Like any Reese's product, the sticks, the Nutrageous.
I think that was actually me. You were telling it too.
It might have been.
Yeah.
I love me some Reese's.
Yes, I do too. And it's funny how different Reese's products, even with the same ingredients, chocolate and peanut butter, taste differently. Like the Reese's peanut butter candy bar is different than the cups, which is different than the big cups, which is different than the mini cups. And it's how and then there's a hierarchy even in the Reese's holiday assortments where they have the pumpkins and the eggs and the trees and stuff like that, and how they all, even though they're again same ingredients, they do have a slight different taste to them.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I don't. Maybe I told you this as well. I saw on the Walmart website that you could order a box of the Reese's sticks, so I ordered some. I didn't know they were coming from New York City. Get a rope, and and they got to my house and they're melted and they're not like beautiful, but they still taste good, but you're missing half the chocolate on the wrapper now. So I was kind of bummed out.
Next time, put it in the freezer.
You know what? Next time, order it from Amazon and it'll be more locally sourced. I don't know why they ship something from New York City to Southern California. I'm sure there's other Reese's. I know the manufacturing plant is right there in Hershey, Pennsylvania, but come on now.
Yes, and there's something about a Hershey, Pennsylvania Reese's cup that has a little. Well, one day, maybe next time you come up, we'll all go to Hershey Park.
Yeah, that was like a 2-hour drive. That's why we kind of stayed away from it. But yeah, when you were talking about like the holiday themed Reese's, like, there's nothing quite like that Halloween pumpkin, but it's a little bit different than the Christmas tree,
Yes.
And
there's a hierarchy, and everybody knows that the eggs are the best, followed by the pumpkin, followed by the heart, followed by the pumpkin.
The heart, though, the heart packaging, I don't like. It makes me a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, but it's about the Reese's itself, and then but something about the heart is because of the ends that are the bigger ends are actually tastier than the tapered end. But the pumpkin is actually smaller in weight than the other three, and then the tree is the smallest in weight. In case you're wondering.
The Easter egg is truly a work of art.
Yes,
amazing.
And I heard they have a football now, so I haven't been able to find it. But Reese's football.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to find it, but my stores don't seem to have it around here. Maybe it's because the Eagles suck.
Maybe. Steve G's in the house. What's up, Steve? Let's see. Paladin's here. What's going on, Pal Adden? I don't know why, but I love saying it that way. Overmetal's here. What's up, guys?
Probably the same reason you like to say the algorithm.
Algorithm. That someone said that to me once, and it just stuck, and I can't get it out of my head. The algorithm. By the way, Steve G, who asked, tomorrow is Johnny Robbie's return. West Coast Pro Wrestling, they run their events up and down the West Coast, quite literally. Like, they've done events in Portland and Oregon. They've done their events in San Diego, California, El Monte, Irvine, Los Angeles, Las Vegas. I mean, they really, I'm not saying that they're a touring promotion, but they're a touring promotion. They're not like a Coastal Championship Wrestling, but they're pretty damn close. And so tomorrow's event will be in San Francisco. So I know that's probably not within driving distance for you, Steve G, but they might be streaming that show on YouTube. I know they've done a lot of their live events will be live on YouTube. So check it out tomorrow, their YouTube channel. It's tomorrow. Yeah. That's their 6th anniversary show. So congrats to West Coast Pro Wrestling on their 6-year anniversary show. Let's see. Willie Bowen says 3 Musketeers, chocolate, payday. I haven't had the chocolate payday, but I love a payday. Both the candy and the literal term payday. Also Snickers too. Yeah, Snickers you can't go wrong with a Snickers.
I don't remember the zero. What's a zero?
I don't know. Hey, Willie, what's a zero candy?
You have to explain that to me, Lucy.
And then Overmetal says, greetings from a pool. Any word on the state of damage in Tampa? Yeah, I was just actually talking about that before you came on here, Overmetal, because I don't know what the status is of the Robarts Arena. And as far as I know, that was through the path of the totality of Hurricane Milton, went right through Tampa and Sarasota. So, hopefully, knock on wood, everything's great. But there's been a lot of damage in the area, and I don't know what the status looks like. And not that, again, in the grand scheme of things, wrestling isn't important, folks, but in terms of the NWA and what's next for them, I mean, I'd hate for them to have to cancel that event or, rescheduling it, moving it to a different location. All these things are viable options. I don't know what kind of walk-up crowd that the NWA gets. We were at the 2300 arena, and a lot of that was a walk-up audience, and it was a packed 2300 arena. So hopefully that's all good, whatever happens to them. And then as far as the other part of that, also there's a healthy peanut butter cup that blows Reese's out of the water. Dark chocolate and sea salt. Yeah, Overmetal, I can appreciate that, right? I can appreciate the idea of a healthy alternative, but I'll be honest with you, in my mind, and Jaden, you could back me up on this, or you could tell me I'm crazy, but like, you need to splurge every now and then. You can't just completely eliminate these things from your ecosystem, because then you're gonna I don't know, like on any good diet has balance, right? And I don't call them cheat days. I call them just like, hey, today I was hungrier than I was the day before, so I ate a little bit more. I think everything in moderation. But what do you think, Jaden? You're somebody that's in the fitness industry.
Yeah, in moderation is always good, and it's never good to totally cut things out because you have to have some enjoyment. I guess I can't speak on diet though, because today I had 2 boneless chicken wings, 2 pieces of raisin toast, and 2 hot dog rolls so far.
Dude, I had a chicken Big Mac today, and I'm not a fan.
I'll try it. I'll try it, but we'll see. I don't have a lot of high hopes.
That's the thing. Like, I gave up on the McRib a long time ago. As a kid, I remember loving the McRib. And I used to love Big Macs as a kid. I was a fat kid, if you didn't know. And, man, I can't eat Big Macs anymore. I've lost that flavor. I don't like it. They don't taste as good anymore. And then I had high hopes because I heard a lot of people saying positive things about this chicken Big Mac. And I'm like, well, let's go. I had jury duty today. It was kind of like, I can't bring my lunch to jury duty, so I'll go to the McDonald's and just try it out. Not a fan.
They really, I think, dropped the ball too, not calling it a big cluck.
What the cluck? Luthez says a 0 is an almond nugget covered in white chocolate.
Nougat,
If I ever
probably,
see-
and I can't do the almond, I'll die.
Yeah, that'll kill you. But I, on the other hand, don't have an almond allergy, and I would definitely check that out if I saw it.
Nougat, like Ted Nugent, but it's nougat.
Yeah, it's a wheelie Bowen just backed it up. Zero candy bars, white chocolate on the outside with chocolate nougat on the inside. I don't think that's a Southern California thing.
I wonder how many of those Tyrus could eat in one single setting.
He would close down the whole place. Steve G says a chicken Big Mac to me sounds terrible. Yeah, it wasn't good. Overmetal says, speaking of algorithm, Colby Carino likes to refer to Caleb Conley as suicide with a K. Says people just agree with him when he uses it. That's kind of funny. Caleb with a K. You know, he doesn't. Caleb with a K was for TNA, but before that, he was Caleb with a C in NWA. Rosville says Mims booking is devaluing.
Truth.
That 100%. We can't even argue that, and we'll talk about that momentarily. You know, we're just getting our introductions in. You know, it's not going to be a long night tonight, guys. We don't have DKM on, and you know, he told me specifically, I want you to let them know, Jay. I want you to let them know that I am not happy with the way that they booked the national title match. In fact, in his words, it was fucking stupid.
I don't think that was very different than what my opinion was at the time watching it live. So
we were in unison. I echoed the same sentiment. Overmetal. I literally, the judge today, put a bench warrant out for arrest for somebody who did not come back from lunch. So I wasn't about to fuck around in that courtroom today. I'm all right with that. Paladin, you're using language that I can't say on here, and I just said the F word twice, so we'll keep moving forward. And
by the way, Jay doesn't need any help making racial statements. He can do it on his own.
Wait, say that again?
You don't need any help making racial statements. You can do it on your own.
It wasn't racial. It was just a different word that I don't think I could use on that.
No, about how to get out of jury duty.
Oh, shit. No.
DK and I joke all the time. We make fun of Jay for being racist. Even though he's not, it's still funny.
You can call me Ray, and you could call me Jay. Just don't call me a racist.
All right, Jaycist.
Jaycist. Do you remember back? Well, you remember, but the only person that might remember this is Luthez. That there was this really racist dude on the old NWA forums back in like early 2000s. And they referred to Jaden as a word we wouldn't use on here. We wouldn't say it on here. That ends with I'm not even going to validate the word, but
Booker T might know the word.
Yeah, Booker T might call Hulk Hogan that word.
Yeah.
But it was so weird, and like I didn't know you then, and again we don't know what any of us look like because this was like pre Facebook. This is like I think MySpace might have been around, but if you weren't MySpace friends, how would you know? And he thought you were black.
Yeah, I'm only half black.
We'll leave it at that. All right, I want to get some more of the food talk because of course that's the fun part. Steve G says, Jay, a lot of our fast food places out here aren't nearly as good as they used to be. I agree. Steve G, I know you're out in the Antelope Valley. You guys have plenty of In-N-Outs though, right? Because I mean that's still like the best value, taste. I can't wait till Jaden comes out here, if that ever happens, or DKM, so that I can take him to In-N-Out and they can have a delicious In-N-Out burger, and it won't cost me like $40 to feed those guys. Paladin says, I know Corgan is the booker, but Mims could have said no. Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot to that.
Here's some truth that I know. Billy Corgan sometimes books people in stupid ways to see if they would get along with it. And once they decide to get along with it, then he decides to book them, which is completely counterproductive to anything.
Yeah.
And it's very bad in the long run to do somebody a bunch of stupid just to see if they'll go along with it and then maybe decide to start using them properly. That is such a bad way. If anybody can get that word to Corgan that he would actually listen to, please do. But I know probably he wouldn't. But that is such a counterproductive to a positive environment and for a profitable and potentially successful company.
Paladin's echoing your statement, saying that Corgan says he trolls his talent to break them. I think that's such a weird way to go. And for me personally, like, look, I've never booked a wrestling event, right? That's not something that I'm probably ever going to do. And I have vouched for talent and I've sold people on talent, but I would never like pretend to know what it takes to book a show or to write storyline or anything like that. That's out of my wheelhouse. But I am a business owner. I have had leadership roles in other people's companies. And it just baffles me to think like in 2024, the way you're going to find out your talent has the metal to book them is to put them in humiliating positions. To me, I think that's just so like far beyond dumb, right? Like, I don't think that's a good idea at all. A great leader doesn't punish people. A great leader inspires people. A great leader lifts people up. And if your idea of, weeding out the weak from the, the strong from the weak is to punish the talent to see who steps up to the occasion, I think like you're just an idiot.
I agree. Unless it's Dave Dahl, then he can punish him all you want.
Well, look, circumstances are, fit for different varieties and reasons, and Dave Dahl deserves all the shit he gets, but that's neither here nor there. Steve G goes back to Tommy's is better than In-N-Out. You must like the chili burgers. I can't do chili burgers anymore. They don't agree with me. Every now and then, but not often.
Dairy Queen really shit the bed recently too. They've really gone downhill. They've had multiple recently, and even their blizzards have lost some of their luster.
I've never liked their food, but those blizzards were nice. I cookie dough blizzard. Whoo,
yeah,
hit that fat boy in me going. Let's go. Paladin says I'm fat right now. He says I used to be fat also. I mean, I'm still look, guys. Look, I'm not trying to sound like I'm hating or anything like that. I've gone up and down my entire life as a kid, all the way to now, and the lightest I've been in the last 20 years is 202 pounds. And that might sound like a lot for a guy who's 5'7", but like I literally was running 3 days a week, hitting the gym 3 days a week. I mean, I was doing everything you could, and I got to that plateau of 202. Now I'm like floating at like 240, and I have a long ways to go, but I'm doing it the smart way. I'm making sensible choices. I'm not trying to kill myself to lose weight, and I don't begrudge anyone who is on that journey or not on that journey. It's like, you just got to do you. You got to be happy in life. I wasn't happy, and being heavier set was holding me back in a lot of different ways. So that's why I decided to start going to the gym and eating healthier. And I feel a lot better now than I did, earlier this year when I was 260. I'm not telling you guys you have to go to the gym. I'm not telling you have to do anything. I'm just saying for me, that was a good choice. My back feels better. My body feels better. So
I'm 100% telling you need to go to the gym.
There you go.
Yes.
You're like that Viking guy. Get your ass to the gym.
Yeah.
He spits out whatever he's drinking.
Again, get a good multivitamin. The people that are telling you that multivitamins aren't useful usually have some kind of personal grudge against multivitamins. But get a good one, because the shit ones are the reason that people talk bad about it. And there is a major difference.
Yeah. Hey, Paladin, that's awesome, dude. And don't die. Keep yourself alive. Be healthy, and whatever that means to you. And Jaden says go to the gym. I'm saying just don't die. I've got 3 kids and a wife. If something were to happen to me, I don't know what would happen to them. So I have extra motivation to make sure that I'm here. And my father had heart issues, and he was not very healthy. My mom she died of a heart attack. So again, like I got to make sure that my heart is being protected and safe and all that stuff. Be happy. That's all I want for you guys to do. And Overmetal's over here swimming laps. He did say he was in a pool. I thought you were making a joke about the hurricane. You're literally in a pool. Nice, Matthew. Nice.
Nice.
Let's see. Paladin says it's better to be healthy. Dog is right. I like how he just calls you Dog, Jaden. You don't have a name. You're just Dog.
Hey, Dog. No, Dr. Zirconium is really the man behind Dog. I'm just the guy that's got the bigger mouth.
And you're wearing the shield as a badge of honor. Luthez says, I was a fat little kid. Shocking, right? My folks bought me diet candy that was literally called AIDS.
It's true. There was a chocolate supplement. There was a weight loss supplement called AIDS, and the commercials are, in hindsight, are quite hilarious if you want to look them up. It's very funny that they talk about losing weight with AIDS.
Oh no, that sounds like a South Park bit.
No, it was a legit product that is no longer here because of another version of that something within that name.
That's wild, man. That's okay.
Yes.
All right, so let's do a little bit of talking about the National Wrestling Alliance. Of course, they put out their latest episode of Power just this Tuesday, and it's only been 2 days, but they've already racked up 33.3 thousand views for Maxie Impaler versus Kenzie Page, the Immortals versus Blunt Force Trauma, and the national championship match. So I mean, that was on paper, it's a pretty good show. And 33,000 I think is respectable. If you look at the numbers of what they did last week, I mean, at one point it was over 100K. And I'm going to look right now just to make sure where it's at, where they were last week. But let me see here. There could be other reasons why less people might have been watching this week too, considering that there had been a storm and not a Tim storm. So yeah, so the show from last week is already over 122,000 views. So that's kind of a steep drop off, but again, it has only been 2 days since it's been out.
The other problem, I think, to this one too, if I may interject, the last week had a bit more star power of more known stars. Not a lot of people know who Blunt Force Trauma is, or the Immortals are, or Kenzie Page, or Maxie Impaler, or any of the four participants. Maybe with the possibility of Birchall, probably is the most well-known out of everybody in there when it comes to the name value people might recognize.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Yeah, EC3 is a former, NXT talent, TNA talent. Tom Latimer. Some people remember him as Bram. I mean that's definitely something to take into consideration.
One of the things I think they need to do better is if they're going to record these events like their actual premium live events or signature live events. I know they got the TV now, so it's different. But if they actually are going to do such a thing again, they really need to split up the card better, because a lot of times they'll blow their load real early with some of their bigger matches, and then they have stuff in the back and it's very not as appealing. If they're going to do that, they should mix it up more so that there is a big match and maybe one of those like not so well-known matches out there, and record it that way and put it together that way.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think part of the reason I think they wanted to make a splash on the first ever episode of X, and I think that's why they put those two big matches. Obviously, the whole bit with Billy Corgan last week was kind of a waste of time, but he does have facial recognition. People see him and know who he is, and I'm sure there are some people out there who saw Billy Corgan and were like, "Hey, what's this all about?" I know for wrestling fans, they probably were like, "Fast forward, fast forward, fast forward." But the casual viewer might have seen Billy Corgan and said, "Hey, I want to know what he's talking about. What's going on here?"
Add to the fact is, I know it's funny in the way to say this, but especially because we kind of were made a joke out of it because we were calling it the Blue Meanie is least known.
Yeah. And again, like in the ECW arena, they made sure to talk about that. And you did have an ECW representative. I know he would have liked to have Shane Douglas there, but I don't think that Shane Douglas in 2024. I think it's time to let the whole thing go. The connection to the NWA. I mean, yes, it's still one of the biggest screw jobs that has ever happened in the world of sport. But at the end of the day, it's like that guy can only be held accountable for so much. Paul Heyman was involved, and Dennis Corluzzo played his part. It wasn't like it was just all Shane Douglas on that one.
It's weird. A company that had hired Jenna Jameson and Jasmine St. Clair in the past, that Shane Douglas is known for the biggest screw job.
Okay.
Hey, I was going on with it. You started drinking in the middle, so
yeah, that's my fault. I messed up on that one.
You should know better. I need some Dubby.
I didn't. I'm only drinking water because I had so much caffeine today because I was in the courthouse. I had two energy drinks before 11 a.m. this morning, so I don't want to go too crazy. I don't want to become Jaden. Real quick, something to point out here. Overmetal said EC3 pulled out of tomorrow's show. Can we talk about the real main event storyline in Exodus Pro? Triple threat, baby. Well, what? Okay, I do know that he pulled out of the event, but what did they announce the event as now? Overmetal. Enlighten me because I didn't see it.
Is he at his own? He's not working his own show.
I think that's what he's saying.
Yeah, I'm kind of confused. I really don't know. I don't follow a lot, unfortunately. Especially during Wednesday and Thursday, don't get a lot of time to check out the Discord very much. So I'm not sure what's going on.
Yeah, I've today was a rough day. Again, I didn't spend a lot of time on the Discord at all. But let's see what you say. Let me know.
But by the way, you don't have to search for the NWA app on X. X going to give it to you.
What? Move, X, get out the way. Paladin says wrestling is so much fun, especially the politics and drama. I love it.
Yeah, you wouldn't love it if you were involved in it, unfortunately, and having to deal with the personalities and the conflictions of such.
So I talked to Dave Marquez quite a bit, and we're on really good terms. And he was telling me some of the stuff that he's had to deal with recently, and it's wild, man. It just doesn't make any sense at all.
I like to quote Dr. Zirconium in this particular statement where he says he loves absolutely everything about promoting independent and anyway professional wrestling, except for absolutely everything about promoting professional wrestling.
Matthew says, sorry, I meant for the November show, which he will be in Latimer, EC3, and Richard Holiday. Yeah, I mean, look, that match is certainly, if anyone is doing something to push that 10 pounds of gold forward outside of Billy Corgan's power, it is Exodus Pro. And I don't know if that's because, EC3 is in the middle of that title hunt, but with no disrespect intended to any of the other territories, I don't see Joe Kazana booking Tom Latimer in such a high-profile match. And whether you like EC3 or not, putting him, Holiday, and the current world champion in a matchup, I think, is a very, very big booking for the world's heavyweight champion. And I don't know that there's another matchup that's out there right now that's obviously as big as this one. And we're not seeing that kind of a matchup in Crossfire. Again, no disrespect to the Page sisters. We're not seeing that match in Chicago. No disrespect to Brian Idol. Exodus Pro is giving you a really high caliber match in November for the 10 pounds of gold. And I don't think that anybody is quite up to that level right now in the NWA. Would you agree or disagree with that, Jaden?
No, I would agree with that, and that's a shame because everybody should be booking to get the world's champion. I understand if you can't book the tag champions or the U.S. tag champions or the women's tag champions, but the world heavyweight title should be booked in all of them. I even think that he was at least booked in New York recently.
Yeah.
For those two events in New York, and that's great because as a lot of people people talk trash on EC3 and how he's slower and more methodical and he doesn't seem to have a second gear anymore. But at least he was out there putting himself out there and putting the championship out there as much as possible. There's a lot of people who fear that Latimer will be a step back and won't be doing such a thing. And I think if anybody really needs to, it would be Tom Latimer.
Well, and that's the thing. Like Latimer, I believe Tom and Camille moved to Florida earlier this year, and I think he's still working dates in Tennessee. Like he will be at the next Crossfire show. He was at Riot Fest in Chicago. He did the events in New York. Now he is the world's champion, so of course he's going to go where the NWA calls. But I'm wanting to see what's going to happen. I don't think much is going to happen towards the end of the year, but as we get through 2024 and into 2025. I think people are going to be calling and trying to get Latimer booked the same way they got EC3 booked. And I think, you have to pay a lot of homage to EC3 for putting in the work to make that World's Heavyweight Championship a viable commodity again. I really feel like Tyrus tarnished that belt a lot more than a lot of people realize. And the fact that now we're seeing, EC3 was defending that title all over the U.S., there's a vacancy now where Tom Latimer is holding that belt, and these promotions that were using EC3, maybe they'll be compelled to use Tom Latimer in the same capacity.
See, though, I don't think a lot of those promotions were reaching out to EC3. I think EC3 was on the phone arranging those deals, and maybe they should. Billy Corgan should ask EC3 to do the same thing for Tom Latimer and arrange those deals for him.
Yeah.
In the old day, it wasn't Ric Flair decided where he was going to work. It was the president of the NWA, and especially, I can't think of his name now. I just had it a few seconds ago, but there was somebody in charge of getting the world's champion booked. And then, God, it's going to drive me nuts. I can't think of the guy's name because I just had it a second ago. People, brain damage is a real thing.
Sorry.
But it's definitely, I think that'll be maybe somebody could do the same thing for Tom. And that'll go a long way to not only solidify his own career and his championship reign and his legacy. It'll do a long way to solidify the NWA because out of all the people, give Tyrus his flowers, even if he's probably going to use the flowers to bake 10,000 cakes. At least he's got some name value that people would physically recognize. Maybe not the name Tyrus as much as his stature and his look, and same thing for even Trevor Murdoch's got some name value and is known from the WWE, and same thing for Nick Aldis at the time. He had some name value. I think out of all of the champions that they've had since the resurgence, excluding Tim Storm, who was the champion when they took over, yeah. I think Latimer has the least amount of recognized name and physical look. Even though he's got a really impressive look, I don't think he is remembered as well as the other ones were.
I think you're right. I mean, it's not that I don't think you're right. You are right, 100% right. I mean, think about it. Aldis had, coming off a pretty high run in TNA Global Force Wrestling and had held their top prizes. He taking the belt off of Tim Storm, losing the belt to Trevor Murdoch, who was still well known from his WWE runs. And then the belt going from him to Matt Cardona.
Yeah, here's another one that's well known. I forgot all about Cardona.
Well, his run was mostly forgettable. And then back to Murdoch, only for him to drop it to Tyrus, who again is a WWE commodity or was a WWE commodity. And then to EC3. Yeah, you're 100% right. Tom is a great athlete. Tom is a great wrestler, but Tom is lesser known than all those men that preceded him.
But that gives him an advantage slightly too, because now he's more of a open, like a fresh canvas. So because he isn't as well known, if he goes out there, he can really paint his own picture and his own legacy. And his reign as NWA champion can really define him.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's an excellent point. Something I hadn't really thought much about. Because we're so close to it, right? Like those of us in this chat, we watch the NWA pretty religiously, and we think about it like, oh yeah, Tom Latimer was so deserving of this title run, and he's been around since day one, and he's one of the guys that have been around in the Lightning One era the longest, and he's the former tag team champion, former TV champion, former national champion. But he's also the least known guy to hold that belt in the NWA. I know he spent some time at NXT, but it wasn't memorable. It wasn't. I think it might have even been FCW at the time and not NXT. But yeah, I not to take anything away from him, I still think he has a great look. He is great in the ring. He has a very positive attitude. I haven't spoken to him face to face, but any of my interactions with him on social media have always been positive. And honestly, I can't wait to see what's next for him. But yeah, that's a great point, Jaden.
See, I'm a lot more than just a pretty face.
They don't know that you're a pretty face because you wear wrestling masks and black out the screen. They'll never know.
Kayfabe.
Kayfabe. I used to date a girl named Kay.
KK?
KK.
Yeah, just throw one more in there and you'll be more like what you're used to.
Fuck. Steve G's talking about Dave Marquez. He wishes that they would give a show dedicated to the women of the United Wrestling Network. I don't know if I'm even allowed to talk about this, and I might get in trouble with Dave about this, but I have seen the United Wrestling Network Women's Championship. He did have it in hand at their taping in Thunder Studio earlier this year. Now, there's been so much stuff that has gone wrong for the United Wrestling Network when it comes to championship wrestling. And I know that a lot of people are frustrated and they miss the product. And it sucks because, like, yeah, Memphis is still out there and Memphis is good, but Memphis is not really it's part of the Marquez like family, but they do their own thing. Dustin Star, Maria Star kind of do their own thing. Like I just saw an advertisement for them that Tugboat is going to be at the next show in October.
Oh man, I was hoping for the Shockmaster.
he might do both. It's Halloween. He might do both. And there was somebody else, and I don't remember who the other person was. But maybe I could see it real quick. I'm gonna scroll up here.
By the way, Tugboat also used to wrestle as Typhoon and as US Steel. And
I don't remember US Steel.
It was his one of his gimmicks when he was working with Dusty Rhodes' promotion, which is actually, I think, married to Dusty Rhodes' wife's sister. But and he also used to wrestle under the name Big Bubba, not the one Big Bubba Rogers, obviously. And of course, you can't forget about the Shockmaster.
Tony Atlas and Tugboat will be at the October 27th Memphis television taping.
Hide your feet.
Yeah, hide your wife's feet. Hide your wife's. Oh, that was that. So yeah, go back to United Wrestling Network. I know that they're making some positive inroads, and some things are going to happen. The syndication will start up probably in 2025 again with the Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. That's. I'm probably not supposed to talk about this stuff. Probably gonna get a phone call later, but
ring.
Yeah, if the show cuts off all of a sudden, you know why. But yeah, they're looking to get back to it. You know, Danny Limelight still their world champion. He's still been wrestling. I mean, he defended the title in Alaska recently. He has defended the title in Puerto Rico. He was working with Future Stars of Wrestling, where everywhere he goes, he brings the United Wrestling Network World Title with him. He's been wrestling with Reality of Wrestling in Texas. And so things are still happening for that promotion, but I know that the 2024 has been a rough year. They lost their title sponsor in 23, which was CarShield. And then the studio that they were filming in, Thunder Studios, basically like management changed, and now they're remodeling a lot of it. And the venue that they had set up is now no longer available to them. So a lot of things have happened. It sucks. It's a bummer, but I think they will be back, and I think 2025 is going to be a solid year for them.
I wonder who had more bad luck, Dog or Championship Wrestling.
I think it would be like flipping a coin at this point, because I know Dog has had, Dog had that great venue, Max Fit Sports. Am I saying it right?
Max Fit Sports Center. 240 Delta Drive South in beautiful downtown Rustic, Glassboro, New Jersey.
That was a great venue. I got to go there myself. We brought the Alliance family out there. It was cool. It was hip. And unfortunately, they closed that down and became a different venue altogether. And I know that with the events of Rowan and the events at the College of Rowan, all positive stuff. But they just had that event cancel recently.
In case not Riverton. Riverton's fine. Riverton worked out. It was actually the Pennsville event. It got postponed when the school needed the building. And that's not the second time that's happened to Doug. It's also happened when we used to run in Clayton. That's why they're no longer running in Clayton. Except that one, it was even less notice, I think.
Yeah, and that's a bummer. That's always a bummer. And but same thing. United Wrestling Network, they lost their venue. They still have the venue in Irvine, but it's just it's not conducive to making good television. It's an improv, and it's fine for live events, but an actual wrestling taping, those matches didn't look great from Irvine. So hold on, Wrestling Network fans. Derby City is starting to come back, which means if you're following the product on YouTube, you'll start seeing some of the matches from Derby City, and hopefully before long, you'll see more fresh content from Championship Wrestling from Hollywood and the United Wrestling Network.
Hey, Dave, if you ever want to do Championship Wrestling from New Jersey, you need a booker. You have my number, right?
Yeah.
If not, Jay can give it to you.
Arizona was once a hotbed for the United Wrestling Network. And, I know people in Arizona, so who knows what's next for United Wrestling Network.
Championship Wrestling from Buckets for Rent is what I think we need.
Well, Davies even came to me. He's like, hey, let's do a commercial. I'm like, no. I don't need to do commercials, Dave. No, it'd be a good idea for you, Jay. Nah, that's all right. We don't need to do commercials.
You can write it off on your taxes. It is a tax write-off.
Yeah. We do lots of stuff for tax write-offs. All right.
Yes, like dinners.
Yeah, dinners. Dinners are good. Sean Megan says, what do we do with Tom Latimer?
I have ideas.
Well, let's hear them. I have an idea. You go for one, I'll go for one, and then we'll just go back and forth for a bit.
First of all, he needs to solidify his legitimacy as, yes, we're still talking DKM. He needs to solidify his legitimacy as champion. So one of the first things I would do is build him big programs against former champions, against EC3, against, obviously not Tyrus, but against Murdoch, against Cardona, and even against Tim Storm, if we can get him out of that stupid gimmick. And of course, you can't forget even against the Vanilla Godzilla himself, or the friend of the show, and one of the favorite wrestlers of J Cal and DKM, Mims. No, just kidding.
Mims.
I was going to joke around and I was going to say Gags the Gimp, but I couldn't even take myself to say that one.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't.
No, but now I can't remember his name now. Shit. Jack State. Thank you. I ruined my own brain on that one. But yeah. So there's a lot of good champions that I think he should be defending against and building programs if his former champions to solidify himself. And speaking of former champions, they should add as many as possible to add their cachet to him in association, getting pictures or getting a rub from in some way, like, Ricky Steamboat and Ronnie Garvin and other ones that are out there, just to solidify his reign. So that's the first thing I would think I would make sure I would do. What about you, Jay?
Okay, so similarly, I like the idea of putting him in a match with a former champion. I think the problem is we've seen Jack Stain with EC3. We've seen Matt Cardona with EC3. And Tim Storm right now, I don't think under his condition, I don't think he's the right guy to put in that position. So to me, there's not a lot of a lot of former world champions who I think would make a lot of sense in the ring with Tom Latimer. I mean, you can't get. I mean, if you could, that'd be maybe I would jump on that. But someone like Kojima from MLW. But I don't think they're going to put MLW champion versus the NWA champion and put the NWA champion over. So to me, it's like you got to find somebody out there to steal a line, a zirconium in the rough, somebody who is well known but hasn't quite had the opportunity to shine on a big stage yet, or somebody who has had the shine but just not done the. Had the opportunity to like get over in like maybe the NWA. So, I know he's already signed to AEW, but somebody like a Shelton Benjamin, I think would have been a great grab if the NWA were able to grab him even for just one or two events and put him in a world title match, because he's somebody that's very well known and very marketable, and putting over somebody like EC3 or Tom in this case would have been great for the NWA. So, to me, I'm like, you got to go find somebody out there who's willing to work with the NWA. And, I don't know exactly who that would be at this moment, but I just don't feel like it's somebody from the roster internally, because EC3 wrestled all those guys. He had matches with all those guys. And I feel like there's nothing new there. And I feel like you need to do something different. Otherwise, it's just EC3 part 2.
Well, the thing is, though, EC3 might have wrestled a lot of those guys, but they weren't booked well. So if booked well, like Cardona can mean something, and Jack Stain can mean something. Even they were just thrown in. Honestly, they were booked very badly and just kind of thrown, there. Murdoch can mean something. EC3, the rematch, can mean something. Other champions are not necessarily NWA champions. Former Impact champions, former Ring of Honor champions, former MLW champions. They all could have some ability to elevate Latimer. Bring in names that you can bring in. Why isn't Richard Holiday on NWA's roster? Why isn't he being booked? I don't understand that.
That's another one, and I've talked to Dave Marquez about that. He has his own theories, but he had Holiday on his program. When I look at the NWA, and Holiday is one of these guys that makes a lot of sense. You're talking about former MLW champions. I think all the former MLW champions right now are signed to either the WWE or TNA Wrestling. Karrion Kross, Jacob Fatu, Alexander Hammerstone. I mean, they're all signed.
What about what's this kid's name? Alex Kane, I think it was.
Now, Alex Kane is, I believe he's still technically signed to MLW, but he might be a guy that could work. Yeah, that's actually not a bad grab there.
Yeah,
Dave.
He's not going to be the biggest name, but what they need to do now is they need to get him as much publicity as possible, and those rings have to mean something. So the people that he can beat, the people that he can defend against, you're only as strong as your challengers when you're the champion. And you're only as important as your most recent defense. So you have to make sure that everything you do matters. And for Latimer, it matters a lot more. Brian Idol is fine for a first win, but you need a lot more than that, honestly, if you're really going to put your name out there and build your legacy and build the NWA brand. They have allegedly something in the work. If not, X seems to be doing decently well for them. So they may as well take advantage of what they can for every of that free eyeballs they can possibly get, and use that to elevate the championship as much as possible and elevate the champion as much as possible, even more so, in my opinion. There are name value wrestlers out there, and he really needs to be wrestling against them. And the up and comers that eventually you'll see in NXT or MLW, or maybe not MLW, but like AEW or something like that. They really need to grab those people coming up, and some people consider flavors of the week, flavors of the month, but they really need to grab the ones that have real long-term potential to be something, and have them in a program against Tom Latimer in some way, shape, or form, and not a throwaway match.
Yeah.
And I don't mean Jelly Janellas and shit, people like that. I mean, like,
no, I think Joey Janela would be a huge disappointment. And and I don't even have anything against the guy, but like, let's not copy. Let's not be GCW light. Let's try to be better than that. And like, who's out there, who's available. You look at there are talents that are still taking dates from AEW, working independent dates. I don't know if that means they're available for a promotion like the NWA, but a guy that just came to mind right now, Scorpio Sky. Hell of a great talent, not seen on TV for a while, a former TNT champion 2 times. I think he was the first AEW tag team champion with Kazarian. Another guy, Kazarian, I don't know how their deals are set up in TNA wrestling. It seems like a lot of the talent are available to work in other promotions. I've heard that Ethan Page is still taking indie dates, and he's under NXT contract. So I'm not sure what is exactly available, what you can and cannot get away with. But now's the time. They're like, what else is going to happen? What else is, what could go wrong?
Honestly, it's Billy's booking, but other than that, there are wrestlers out there that I think could really make a lot of waves. Even somebody like a Rob Van Dam is a one-time thing, or Alexander Wolf. I'm not sure if he's signed with TNA anymore. Trying to think of who else is out there.
Over Metal Matthew Underwood said James Storm.
James Storm, it's going to be a retread, sure, but Donovan Dijak, he's really, really, really good. He's tall and he's got size. Harry Smith.
See, that's the right answer right there. That is 100% the right answer. Harry Smith. Now, James Storm, I like James Storm. He's getting a little long in the tooth, but he could still have a good match with Tom Latimer. But Harry Smith is definitely a guy who, former NWA World Tag Team Champion 2 times, and he's a guy that you bring onto your roster. You throw him on a poster. He looks like a wrestler. You know what I mean? He's very skilled in the ring and would have a hell of a match with Tom Latimer. And if you did, like, I'm not saying that, I can't read the future, but I've heard for the longest time that the NWA was supposed to do a UK tour back in 2020 before COVID. And if that's the case, you could still do a 2020, that 2025 tour in the UK, and you could book somebody like, I don't know, world's heavyweight champion Tom Latimer and a match against Harry Smith, the lost son of the UK. I think that would be a pretty cool thing to see. I mean, what do you think?
They make sure that they're going to do that. They have a lot of people to work with, and really, because Mims, nothing against them, and Gags of Gimp aren't going to really sell a lot of people to UK, but there are talent out there that can do so. And I think if they could take advantage of it and do well, I think that's a really smart idea. Hell, Masato Tanaka is allegedly coming to the United States sometime soon.
Oh man. That's a great and like, I know he's a lot older guy too. I can't talk anymore. He is a guy who is a lot older, and he's had a lot of long time experience in the ring. But yeah, why not? Why not? And then there's guys. If you're gonna do something in the UK, I think maybe partnering with a promotion that's there. Like the World of Sport or the rebranded Fight Nation. I know that they would love to do something with the NWA again. So, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that they could do in a British wrestling event. But
I know I may probably give poor DKM some heart attack or some kind of trauma, but I think if there was a good booker, one of the wrestlers I think the NWA could use well, maybe not for the World Championship, but I think could use well as an anti-NWA person, would be Enzo.
Oh, yeah. No, Enzo, I'm surprised they haven't used Enzo already. He's not my particularly favorite wrestler, but he can talk. He could sell a match. And people are still invested in that guy when he cuts a promo at these local events. Like, people get invested. He would have been a guy that I was surprised they didn't use at the New York show. But maybe they were trying to go, not a big money deals because, I think those were sold shows, so that you try to keep your budget tight for those events. But Enzo would have been a guy that I think could have worked.
You know what? Again, I'm not the greatest when I believe in his wrestling. He's not going to be impress me with his wrestling acumen, but I can make money with that guy.
Yeah, our pal Dave Scooby, Scooby, we need you back on the air. He said, bring back Masters. Plus, Bully called Tom a future champ. Use them to give Tom a shine. Both of those are actually solid. Like, I'm not the hugest Bubba Ray fan, a Bully Ray fan, whatever you want to call him, but the guy knows how to work, and is a former, I think 2-time TNA champion. He's in both the Hall of Fame for the WWE and in TNA wrestling. He's in better shape now than he was when he was wrestling regularly for the WWE. He might be an interesting choice too.
Calvin Tankman, why does that name sound familiar?
Calvin Tankman was in MLW for a short time. He is currently the Deathlock Pro heavyweight champion. But Calvin Tankman did spend some time in MLW. He bounces around a lot. He's kind of like a more malevolent Willie Mack. He's very big. He's not agile in the ring. He's a super heavyweight. He moves around the ring like a super heavyweight, but he's very aggressive and very stiff in the ring.
I wonder if Congo Kong's still out there. He's another guy that I always thought I could make some money with too.
I think Congo Kong was a local guy.
There was a Congo Kong out of like the East Coast who worked for TNA for a while.
Okay, no, I'm thinking of somebody else.
Yeah, so I think that might be somebody else. There's wrestlers out there. You know what I'd like to see?
Who?
A friend of Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators, a guy who recently beat up Connor, the flag boy, in Tank Tolan.
See now, and that's a thing. Like Tank Tolan would be great, but I don't feel like Tank Tolan has got the eyeballs on him. It would be good for local territory. Like if the next time the NWA comes in, he'd be a great guy to put in the ring against Tom Latimer. But I don't know if he's going to draw like in Sarasota. You know what I mean?
Maybe not, but he can be impressive in the ring. And if they're bringing in like the Epico and Primo Cologne, and they're bringing in Paul Burchill, and they brought in the guy who used to be Alex Riley for a bit. They've brought in guys before that have some name recognition, but aren't necessarily people that are going to move the needle. And they've done some decent job, at least with Mike Knox in that regards.
Was Riley a failed experiment?
For the NWA?
Yeah.
He hasn't been back, so I guess so.
I just remember him taking that dive and over leaping the like basically eating shit on a dive outside the ring, and he wasn't right after that.
I know nothing about not being right.
Just watching him in that match, he didn't look right after that spot. I think that was the 312 pay-per-view. No, not 312. The Nuff Said pay-per-view. The Nuff Said. Oh, I can't even focus. Hey, it's Tires, everybody.
You just got eclipsed.
I did. It was a total eclipse of the fart.
All right, so what else happened on Power, by the way? We'll go back to that.
Yeah, of course. So, all right, first thing is Power started off now I don't remember the match order, but we'll just go with what I think happened, and we'll take it from there. We had the tag team match with Blunt Force Trauma with Aaron Stevens against the Immortals, Odin Sin and Kratos. Now, this matchup we didn't hear the stipulation that the bell had to ring 3 times in the venue. At least I didn't hear that. And it was a fight. And I think you and I both said when we were watching that match live that we didn't think it was going I'm not a huge hardcore wrestling fan. But if you're going to do hardcore wrestling, that's the place to do it, in the ECW arena. And those 4 guys really did just go to war in that match.
Wasn't. I don't think that was a hardcore match. That was more of a slobber knocker. That was a fight.
Okay.
There wasn't a lot of plunder involved, and there wasn't. It was just 2 people beating the crap out of each other. They spent some time out of the ring.
Yeah, okay, that's
4
fair.
people. Like 4 people.
I mean, there were they did use the ladder, but they didn't use a lot of chairs. You're right. So there wasn't a lot of there wasn't a lot of timber in the ring, but there was a lot of pain. There was a lot of beating the shit out of each other. And I said it on the pre-party. I'll say it again. That chop that Carnage delivered to Kratos was the loudest chop I've ever heard at a wrestling event. And I mean, I've heard Samoa Joe chop the shit out of people. That chop, literally, like, my ear went like, I had like the tinnitus ring for like a few seconds after that. And I looked at Carnage. I was like, damn, bro. They beat the crap out of each other. And the feud between Kratos and Stevens, they're former tag team partners. Remember, Stevens brought in Kratos to replace Josephus when they were taking the titles off of James Storm and Eli Drake back on the United Wrestling Network's Primetime Live series. That's how long that storyline goes between Stevens and Kratos. And it just kind of aligned itself when, Kratos started teaming up with Odinson and Stevens became a manager. Like, he managed his guys to the tag team titles, but there's always that underlying factor that Kratos and Stevens just do not get along at this point. And so this was a very hard-hitting matchup. Like you said, it was just guys beating the crap out of each other, which made for great being there live. It was a lot of fun. I mean, they were rearranging the ring barricade. They were just beating the crap out of each other. I really enjoyed this match. What were your thoughts on this one?
I agree with that our compatriot Milk Mascaris.
Yes.
When he said that Carnage hit Kratos like he owes him reparations.
Oh, no. You're not supposed to make those jokes on this show.
Since when?
Those ones?
I made every joke before. No, but seriously, he beat him like he owed him money.
Yeah, it was pretty rough.
It was great. I enjoyed that. That was probably the best brawl I have seen in person in a very, very, very long time. And it was one of my favorite matches of the event. And I actually enjoyed that. And I don't generally enjoy like the garbage matches like that, but I do enjoy a fight. And that's really what it felt like. It didn't feel like a bunch of people doing stupid crap with weapons and stuff. It felt like people who owed each other a bunch of receipts and were dishing them out.
Yeah. And it did, like, there was a point in time where I saw Kratos really just smash Carnage, and I just like, oh, there's gonna be a receipt for that. The whole thing, it felt like they still owe each other receipts. Like, if that match happens again, they're gonna beat the crap out of each other just as hard.
Please.
Please.
Yes.
Ryan Davis, this might have been my second favorite match at this pay-per-view. Or signature live event, excuse me. I really enjoyed Silas Mason and Colby Carino way more than I thought I would. This match was really, really good. Probably my number 2 on the card. And believe it or not, I also really liked last week's Trevor Murdoch and Mike Knox versus the Southern Six. That was also another really fun match for me. Did you have that same kind of feeling?
I enjoyed that, but the problem with that match, I think the match we saw this time, because of the order, took away from it. The YouTube audience, I think, has an advantage on that one because there'll be time in between, and there'll maybe even a taping in between.
The X.
Yeah, X gonna give it to you.
What? And then so that was a real fun match. Of course, not without controversy. Kratos gets on the ladder, goes to ring the bell. Ding, ding, ding. It's supposed to ring the bell 3 times. They were very specific in that. And the match announcement, I didn't hear that when we were there, or maybe I did and I just didn't care. But when Kratos went to ring the bell literally broke apart. So he only got 2 dongs out of it. instead of the three dongs. And on commentary, they were making a point to reference that. I think that's silly and stupid, but if it leads to a rematch with these guys, I'm all for it. It was a fun match.
I just recently watched a lady who took 3 dongs.
He means ding dong, guys. The delicious treats from
or the former tag team in WCW.
Yeah, I don't want to know about that either, dude. So then after that match, we have the finally we are crowning a new national champion. This is the title.
Wait, wasn't there another match in between?
Well, the main event was Max and Kenzie.
All right.
So the next match in my memory is the national title match. Now, we got to remember the national title is the title that has propelled the last several challengers to the 10 pounds of gold within the NWA, meaning Tom Latimer used that title to cash in against EC3 at 76. Prior to that, Silas Mason had used the national title to propel himself into a title match with EC3. Prior to that, EC3 used that title to propel himself into a match with Tyrus. And prior to that, I believe Adonis used the title not to propel himself to a title match, but to put himself into a battle royal to help protect Nick Aldis. In the meantime, what I'm trying to say is the title itself has been diminished in value because it's not a prize that somebody wins, holds, and says, great, I'm the national champion and I'm going to be the best national champion out there. Now, Tom Latimer actually did say that, but, as soon as the opportunity arose for him to cash in, my brother cashed in. And there's nothing wrong with that in and of itself.
Yes, there is.
Well, okay. Historically, in the NWA, your world's heavyweight champion sat atop a throne, higher than anyone else. And in the old days, your number one contender was always your North American champion, and your number two contender was your national champion. Now, obviously, there is no North American title, so the de facto number one contender for the 10 pounds of gold is your national champion. I like that because it establishes an air of supremacy, but I also do not like it because the NWA has treated this as a cash-in opportunity for the world's title, which I don't think it should be.
No, it's stupid. That's very stupid.
One of the coolest things I remember growing up as a kid was WrestleMania 6, Hogan versus Warrior, Intercontinental Champion versus the world's heavyweight champion. And at the end of the show, you had Warrior who defeated Hogan holding both belts. Fast forward to, I think it was 2000, maybe 2001. Goldberg was your U.S. champion. He defeated Hogan to win the world title, and you had Goldberg holding up 2 belts. Now, if Warrior would have lost or if Goldberg would have lost, they still would have held their prospective championship, and it would have been like, hey, nothing ventured, nothing gained. But you're looking at the NWA, and they have this model like you have to surrender this title in order to challenge for this title, and I think that's weird. I think if you're the national champion, you should just say, hey, I beat everybody. Let me try my hand at the world's heavyweight champion. And if I win, then I will forfeit this title. And if I lose, then I'm still champion. Either way, I'm still a winner.
In the old days in the NWA, you had regional champions. But then when the Jim Crockett Promotions became the dominant force, the whole point of being the Western States Heritage Champion or the World Television Champion or the United States Champion was to prepare you to be the world's champion and to be a challenger for the, get yourself out there. And in storyline is because champions made more money. So that was the point of that. Ever since the stupid Money in the Bank rule, and everybody copying it since, I hate the whole cash in a championship to get another championship reign. The Royal Rumble is one thing. You win a Royal Rumble, you get an automatic main event at WrestleMania. But it's stupid. It really shouldn't be done. They already kind of do it with the TV title, the Beat the Champ TV title, which is what they're trying to do with it. But it's still stupid. They should establish a champion, having a champion establish himself as a prominent champion who gets lots of wins and looks impressive and has good matches and defends the championship on television, and then move himself up to a ladder to maybe the national and then the world's title if he's so deserving. The whole stupid giving it up, like seriously, the national title really could have done a lot in building up Thrillbilly.
Yes,
and they just shit the bed with that
completely. DK, I see that you're here, but you're muted. Do you want to join in the conversation?
Get off your throne.
He's probably in the bathroom. All right.
The throne's on the other side of the room. So you guys are still talking.
Well, yeah, it's not even
10 o'clock yet.
Yeah.
All right. I guess that's okay. So, did you tell them that the 4-way was a fucking mess and a horrible embarrassment?
Well, we're getting to that because right now we're just discrediting the national title and how it's been used, and then we're going to get into the 4-way.
Which discredited even more so, and discredited all 4 competitors in the ring, and discredited the eventual winner.
Well, first and foremost, I like Carson Drake better when he was Jordan Clearwater. Let's just make that evident and known. I don't get the appeal of Carson Drake, Carson Bartholomew Drake. I don't know why he's over with the fan base. You know, like I haven't seen anything out of him that makes me think, hey, this guy's a star. Like the promos, I haven't seen one that makes me buy into the guy. His matches, lackluster. He's a big dude with a big build, but that's about it. I haven't seen them do anything with him that would make me want to cheer or boo this guy. He's a non-factor. At least Jordan Clearwater had that. Jordan Clearwater had like the annoying little brother vibe to him. I don't even think Carson Drake has that.
It reminds me of Kerwin White.
Yeah,
if he wasn't Spanish.
Actually white. Yeah.
Yeah.
So him being in the match again, I don't really understand why he was there. Mims was there because Mims has been kind of in the thick of it, although losing the television title to Max and not really gaining any momentum since then. Don't understand why he was in the match really. Then you put Brian Idol, who again, Brian Idol is not. He calls himself the needle mover. I have not seen any needles he's moved. He doesn't do anything for me. He's wooden and laconic. I've been saying that since I've seen him.
Maybe he used to bring Tyrus his diabetes needles. I could have gone worse.
I don't have much to
I really
say
could have gone worse.
I don't have much to say about Brian Idol either. And then, what's his name? Burchill. Burchill's a hell of a talent, but we haven't even seen him on our TV since like February. So again, like, what are we doing with him? Like, again, all 4 of these guys are wrestling for a title that I don't think any of them genuinely deserved. And again, the title has been so devalued, and the way they're going to determine a new champion is put 4 guys who haven't done shit in the last 6 months and have them fight for the title. So, okay, all right, fine. Let's do this. Let's go. And the match itself is pretty lackluster. Again, the first one eliminated was Brian Idol, thankfully. He was the guy that I thought was going to win it, to be quite honest.
Yeah, you called that one and didn't luckily. Well, I can't say luckily, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, look, I honestly, I like who won the title. I think Mims is going to be able to do the most with the belt. But, like, the way they got there, the story that they told, getting rid of Brian Idol first was probably a good move. But then Burchill gets eliminated second. And the match up until that point was okay. It wasn't terrible, but then the whole gets in Carson Drake's ear, starts telling him something, and all of a sudden Carson Drake feigns a leg injury, goes down, takes the loss, and hands Mims the title in a very embarrassing moment. And Mims looks so happy and proud to be champion, but I get it that he's a heel now, and I get that the idea is like, oh, the heels cheated to win, but Where is the pride in that? Where's like you didn't beat a man, the man laid down for you. And then like the other part of this is I don't trust Billy to take the storyline and roll with it. Like, is now Carson Drake going to be a member of Jesus Church's money group? Or was this just a one-off and maybe they'll have a match down the road when we all forget about why they're wrestling? The match up until the ending was okay, and I would have been fine with whoever won that match. But to end it that way, I felt was insulting to the fans and did nothing for Mims. It did nothing to build him up. The title meant shit coming into it. It means less now.
Mm-hmm.
BK, would you agree with that? Am I accurately portraying your disgust with this match?
I don't know that anyone can portray my disgust with the match.
Fair.
I mean, this is worse than anything that's been recently put out by AEW, WWE, maybe even TNA, just maybe Game Changer. I don't know. Look, this isn't a Ted DiBiase, I want to buy the WWE World Championship, or even Larry Sabisco, I want to buy the NWA National Championship, where, they paid like $25,000 or $100,000 or $10 billion or whatever it was. Like Andre said, when he won the belt, it was never about the belt for him. He didn't need to be champion or whatever. Killer Brooks was brought in the Bruiser Brody role of being
a merc,
being a hitman to, go after the national title. And it was just that, the idea there was that, again, Killer Brooks wasn't interested in titles. Andre wasn't interested in titles. They were interested in money and, sure, I'll win the match and win the title for you. This was just horrible, absolutely bullshit, batshit crazy, horrible, and embarrassing. This is the type of thing that when you go out and go, I'm a pro wrestling fan, oh, goddamn, don't ever watch that match. Because I would be so embarrassed that anybody would ever see that. And they would go, go out now and, NWA, why aren't you growing? If I go out now and go, and people go, well, okay, who are the champions in the NWA? I go, well, Tom Latimer. And they'd probably go, yes, don't know that. Nah. Well, he was Braun or whatever he was in
Bram
and, in TNA, he feuded with Aldis or teamed with Aldis. I don't remember anymore. Probably both. And they'd probably go, oh, yeah, I sort of remember him. Or they'll go, what's TNA? One of those.
Oh, Joe Hendry's promotion?
What?
Oh, Joe Hendry's promotion?
Yeah. Right. And then
somebody gave Jay the clap.
Exactly. And I go, well, who's the second tier champion in there? And I go, it's Mims, Big Boy Mims. And they go, well, who's that? I go, well, he won the title in a 4-way with Brian Idol and Burchill and whoever the other guy was. The one that
Carson Drake,
yeah, I don't want to remember him. And they would go, who are they? And I would go, well, they're jobbers on the show. I go, they've not accomplished anything, they've not done anything, but they were rewarded with an. Not only is Brian Idol the national promoter in a match for the national title, he's been in matches for the world title against Latimer because they didn't have anyone prepared to take on Latimer, apparently. And so, yeah, that's my four. Oh, by the way, when they ask who the third level champion is, I get to say, well, non-binary who primarily wrestles in the women's division, and I guess biologically is. I don't know, and everything. That's what I get to tell people that the NWA top champions are in the singles division, except for Alex Taylor, and they'll just go who, and, you know. But you know, I can justify Alex Taylor to an extent.
Well, he's young and exciting, and he's somebody that I he has a bright future ahead of him.
Yeah, that's why I said I can justify him to an extent. I don't know that I can justify him for a world championship, but I can justify him for an extent.
When you walk away from the phone, it gets harder to hear you, DK.
Oh, that's not my fault.
Yeah, it is.
Ralph Bellamy.
It's the phone's fault.
Ralph Bellamy is what Luthez says that Carson Drake looks like. And he's not wrong, but it's not right either.
I don't even know what that is.
That's Ralph Bellamy right there. I just told you who it is.
Yeah, I don't know what a Ralph Bellamy is.
Would you have no culture, you swine?
When have I ever claimed to?
He was in Rosemary's Baby.
Imagine real quick if they would have taken Idol and Drake out and instead inserted Colby Carino and Throwbilly.
That would have been a much, much better night.
Look, let's be honest. The title should have gone on Thrillbilly. Okay?
Okay.
He needed a better run when he had it.
True.
This could have done some redemption. He didn't, he gave the belt up, and he's the only one that's given the belt up who didn't win the title.
As we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
and so he could benefit from a strong run with the championship. He's a believable guy. He's a believable wrestler. He's got the look. He's got the personality. He's got the mic skills. He should be champion.
He's got the moves that really move me.
Sure. We already got the world junior heavyweight champion in the group. And Kerry Morton's been making noise about the TV title. So you could have had a Southern Six. Okay, they didn't win the tag team titles, but now they're all singles champions. That works. That gives some credibility to the group.
What if, hear me out. What if Thrillbilly is the next NWA Mid-America champion?
Nothing. No.
So nothing nothing from the territories will matter for a guy like Thrillbilly.
It's already the Southern Ugly Belt champion, whatever that
Southeastern.
Yeah.
What about for young Kerry Morton? What if he were to win one of those territory titles? Would that make anything? Would it mean anything?
It'll help a little bit, but honestly, Kerry Morton, if you really want to push the six and you're not going to put the tag belts on them, then you should put 3 singles titles on them. You got the junior heavyweight, the TV, and the national. And you got your 3 champions out there. They're the modern version of the Horsemen in a Freebird paint job.
Sure.
And look, this is if Thrillbilly continues to captivate people, at some point somebody else is going to be interested in it.
Sure.
And it would be a shame if he got away without getting a good solid run with the world title, like LA Knight or Eli Drake or Sean Ricker or whatever you want to call him. And so why we're not building to a Thrillbilly Latimer feud that could take a better part of 6 months to a year would be beyond me. And again, part of this is because of that stupid rule where you got to vacate your title. I mean,
that might be something we are heading to. we don't know exactly what's going to happen next because none of us were in Tampa for the TV tapings. We only know what happened at the 76 because, well, Milk Mascaris and myself were there. So, like, as far as what's next, I mean, that could be what's next.
It could be. It's just
I saw the pictures.
I don't give them. It would be a better thing if your top two stars with the top two titles are feuding. Because they don't have to wrestle each other every night, everywhere. It just needs to be part of the storyline. Thurberly's defending his national title against top challengers. Latimer's challenging or defending his title against top challengers. But every now and again, they're going to clash and tear down the house.
Yeah. I mean,
what about the guy with the big head?
Al Snow?
No, that's with head. Peanut butter smooth.
Oh, big head. I thought you said the fake head. What about him?
The sixth head?
The seventh head.
Either way.
He dreams in the future.
Shit. What about him?
If he shaved that head, it'd probably be better.
He'd look like he'd be from France.
Maybe.
Anybody get that? But
Boneheads, I got it.
But he should be, he could have been in that match and honestly meant something more than Carson Drake.
Yeah, I agree with
Carson
that.
Drake don't even know what beta alanine is.
Look, they could have put in for the national championship. They could have put in Mims. They could have put in Thrillbilly. They could have put in
Colby Carino, and I still would have been happy with. I still would have been happy with Burchell.
They could have put in the peanut butter guy. They even could have put in Plunkett as the Mid-American champion.
Sure.
I mean, if they had put in peanut butter,
jelly time,
Plunkett, and Thrillbilly, you would have had what do you call it? You would have had three champions.
Yeah, the three regional champions. That's right.
Right, and Mims. And Mims already had that match with Peanut Butter.
Jelly time.
I'll never think of him as anything else other than Peanut Butter now. Thanks a lot, Jaden. And
Peanut Butter Smooth.
So,
his partner, Peanut Butter Junkie.
So there's a natural feud there. He could have got another crazy pin on him or something like that. Thrillbilly could have been disqualified or, for something. There's so many ways that this could have been better. And it's like
somebody Barley says.
And why do I see Billy like in a room telling people what he has planned and just going, "Oh man, it'll be great. It'll be great. We'll get G's or church's money and he's going to show off that money and he's going to buy people off." Or of course, only bought one off twice. It's just stupid. So yeah, Drake better be a member of his group now, because otherwise it's just
even more stupid, more pointless.
And it's hard to get more pointless.
We haven't seen a whole. I'm not holding my breath for anything to be explained. By the way, I did take a look to see just what Sarasota looks like after the eye of the storm went through, and the reports are that it emerged mostly unscathed. So Robarts is probably all right, although I don't know with any certainty of what's happening in Florida right now. It sounds like things are doing okay in Sarasota for the venue that will host Sal Win on October the 26th. Now, we don't have any matches announced for that.
Hey, Jay, what was the baseball stadium that got destroyed?
Oh, the Tropicana Field. Yeah.
They were going to use that. They were going to use that as their staging place.
Oh, for the victims?
Well, yeah, for victims and supplies and relief and everything. And
yeah, that was
I
in
think
Tampa.
God hates the Thunderdome, or Mother Nature hates the Thunderdome.
Yeah, the Tropicana Field is what you're thinking of.
More orange juice.
What's that?
More orange juice.
Yeah. And that's in St. Petersburg, like near Tampa. So that they lost the roof there, and it got tore up pretty bad.
Blew the roof off.
I believe that's where the Tampa Rays play. So, anyways, then of course the main event for that night was Kenzie Page, the scrappy women's world champion, the holder of the Burke. I don't know what's a better way to say that. She holds the Burke, taking on Maxine Paler, who's still technically your men's NWA television champion. And this matchup was definitely a bout between Davey and Goliath. They were certainly using the brute force and tenacity of Maxine Paler against the resiliency, the speed, and the determination of a young Kenzie Page. This match, I mean, I've seen it before. I've seen this match happen a couple different times. I saw it last year at the anniversary show, but it was still a fun match. Maxine Paler is probably one of the most physically imposing people on the NWA roster. They are big. They are strong. They look weird. It's the face paint. It's kind of a trip. But Kenzie in the ring, I mean, she really was relying on the speed. And, you know, Max took a couple of Kenzie cutters before she went down for the count. But in the meantime, like, she was brutalizing Kenzie. And I think this match, you have to give it to Kenzie, too, who, again, through sheer will and determination, was able to get up after being stepped on, stomped on, slammed, you know, beaten. It was a good match. And watching it live, I really enjoyed it. It kind of told me that Kenzie is even better than I think we acknowledge, because she's able to do this kind of a match with multiple people. Like, she doesn't just have a good match with Maxine Paler, but like, she can have a good match with La Princesa, Tiffany Nieves. She could have a good match with Camille. She could have a good match with Ruthie J. She could have a good match with Ella Envy, and then come in and have this match with Max. And, you know, you hardly ever see Kenzie Page look intimidated in the ring. You rarely see her look like she's outmatched. And this is one of those times where Max did look like the brute, and Kenzie still came away with the victory. So you have to give her a round of applause. I feel like both competitors did a good job of telling the story that they were telling, and I enjoyed the match. Jaden, what did you think? What did Milk Mascaras relate to you?
He told me that the match was just okay and the crowd wasn't into it.
I will agree that the crowd wasn't into it. I thought it was better than okay, but that's fair.
How did it come across? Did it sound like better on television than it did in person?
When I was watching it, it sounded better. It looked better to me. I kind of want to hear DK's take on it, because I'm biased from seeing it live. I want to know what DK thought about seeing it later on the X.
What?
I'll give it to you. By the way, I wonder if he did it on purpose. The Kenzie Page, he said what? Well, I was thinking next, go and give it to you. No, the Kenzie Page versus Max match. What's your opinion?
Oh, I liked it. They've had 3 matches. Too bad they were like so far apart.
Yeah.
Especially
this was the rubber match, wasn't it?
Yeah. Kenzie won the first one with a cutter on a chair. Max brutalized Kenzie and won the TV title. And then, in the first one, Max brutalized Kenzie and Kenzie won it with a cutter on a chair. In the second one, Max brutalized Kenzie and then won the title.
TV.
And now on this third one, she brutalized Kenzie, but Kenzie was able to do it on her own, you know, win and retain the title. And overall, I mean, it was the type of match that it should be, featuring a young, fast whippersnapper and monster. And so it was, I don't know, it worked. It worked for me. I did notice the crowd seemed to be dead. Now, what I don't know is that, so was this match after the 4-way, the show?
If memory serves me, I think this was the semi-main event.
Your mic's making sound, Jay.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I heard you fine. It was just making some staticky sound.
Is it still making it?
No.
All right. I believe, and I'm gonna try to look it up right now. My memory doesn't serve me terrifically, but it was the third match from the final. So it was after the 4-way.
Okay.
Also, for the entire night, none of the ladies' matches had much crowd interaction.
No, and as much as we tried to get the tag team match with Ella Envy going over, it didn't get over.
That's interesting. I could see where the 4-way would kill a crowd.
Yeah, that definitely did kill the crowd. I remember sitting there, and I love my boy Sam Retro, and I know he was excited for Mims to win the title, but I was just like disappointed. Going back to that 4-way, like, again, that was such a dumb way to put the belt on Mims, somebody who's struggling to find identity as a new heel. You know, he just took a loss to PB Smooth on the return to the Indies, and then his next big match, he wins a title because Black G's paid off somebody. It just feels like, what are you trying to do with this guy? So yeah, I don't know. With all that being said, now we're out of the next event that's coming up is Saw Win, right? And on the cover, we've got Max Impala right there holding the men's television title. Saw Win is the Halloween themed pay-per-view. It's taking place on October 26th. That's a special day for your boy Jay. But no matches have been announced yet. There hasn't been any build from 76 to Saw Win just yet. Now there's still a couple more weeks of matches, and probably we'll see some more of the tapings from Tampa before we see Saw Win. But it just feels like, where's the build for this?
Where's the beef?
Where is the beef?
I don't know. It's the NWA doesn't do a good job building anything. So unfortunately, I don't expect a lot of it. I think it's just going to be random matches, and people are going to have to give a fuck about random booking. And I'm a pure pro. It's one thing if random booking, if you're just running little house shows, but
Yeah.
TV, you need to have some kind of consistency and some kind of actual ebb and flow and build up and actual use of television. Television time in the old days used to be very, 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 very valuable. And you didn't waste a single second of it doing something stupid. You put everything in your moment was to make money. And Billy does not do that.
I don't think that with the way that the NWA is set up today, where are they generating their revenue? Where are they making money? Obviously, they're selling tickets to these events. The ECW arena was essentially a sold out, venue. Those tickets weren't cheap. I know when DK and I went to Crockett Cup, that was mostly sold out. So it's not like they're not selling tickets, but those tickets can't be offsetting the cost of producing television and these venues and these wrestlers and salaries of people who, aren't wrestlers. And this has got to be a losing equitable experience for William Patrick Corgan. And when I look at the fact that, they've now been in business for 7 years, and
76 if you want to be technical.
Sure. The Lightning One era has been in control of the NWA for 7 years. And I know from being a business owner that you're allowed to write off most of your losses for the first 5 years without any penalties. But now we're 7 years into it. the TV deal, like where that doesn't exist. I don't think the TV deal ever existed. I think them being on CW was smoke and mirrors, and I don't see where they're making money being on X. Now I could be wrong. But like, how are they making their money? Now it's not my money. It's not Jay's money. So I guess it doesn't matter, because as long as the product is available for me to watch, I can watch it. But how much longer is this equitable for WPC to keep putting on these shows and not making a return on this investment? Like, at what point do you like pull the plug? Like, I've heard of independent wrestling. Overmetal says Carneyland made money. According to who? What's your source on that, Matt? Like, I love you, man, but like, I don't. How are they making money?
I bet you Carneyland would have made more money than the NWA does, because, in all honesty, they probably didn't pay the TV crew. Somebody else might have done that. So,
yeah. Okay.
So everybody else is just a player, and that one it's a reality show, so they're not really getting much out of that. So I think that probably did make some money, but I think.
Well, I thought Billy filmed that on his own to shop out. I mean, that's why it was like shown 2 years later.
I mean, look, what do I know? Nobody has told me anything directly, right? I don't know shit about who paid for what. But I'll tell you, man, like, it's not cheap to do a TV show where cameras are following you and following your crew and having different cameramen following it's not a cheap endeavor. And it wasn't produced by CW. It wasn't produced by Amazon. It wasn't produced by Apple TV. I don't know who produced it. And maybe if you watch the credits, maybe they say who produced the show. But I believe it was produced by Lightning One. And so, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't understand it. Now, Luthez says something here. He says that X pays out every 2 weeks for certain levels of general engagement. Doesn't even have to be video views. Okay.
Look, I actually want to go to the one above it with Sean Mayweather.
Reality TV is cheap.
Okay, that's a relative statement. Is back in the day, why wrestling was on a lot of things and there was studio wrestling was because it was cheap for the it was cheap for the studio to put a camera in there and let guys wrestle, and then it drew ratings. So it was kind of a cash cow for them. No TV is cheap. I mean, until you're a YouTuber that goes viral, and even now, many of the people who I watch on YouTube have basically said that if they didn't have Patreon support, they wouldn't be able to do their YouTube.
Yeah, Patreon and other outside sources of revenue for YouTube. YouTube doesn't make money.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people who have, who like quit their jobs to become full-time YouTube people and things like that. A lot of them have gone back to work. They still do some channel stuff, but not like they used to.
Well, as somebody who is literally living it out here right now, like, I couldn't quit wrestling, or excuse me, I couldn't quit my day job to do this full time. So
I need that Dubby money, so buy some Dubby.
Yeah, well, I couldn't survive on any of it full time, but again, I don't have to. This isn't my career. This isn't my full time job. This is for fun. It's for funsies.
Sean goes, well, shoot for a big network like CW. Well, again, define big network. CW is hardly a big network. But in fact, their average viewership is somewhere around 350,000 or something like that. And that's why they put the app out and why they got things on the app. And we don't even know what that brings them. And we don't even know how many people are watching. But that's the great thing about apps and streaming services is you never have to find out what's going on.
Nielsen does cover apps, but they have to draw a certain amount before they'll even pay much attention to them.
Well, it's even like, you know why you rarely hear anything about TNA's ratings? Because they're so low, and they're on such a low viewed station, channel, whatever you want to call it, that they don't always get ratings published.
That's because they're part of the witness protection program, at least until recently.
But my point is, yes, reality is cheaper for the stations, but that doesn't mean it's cheap. Yeah. And that's what has to be. There's a difference between it costs me less to put on reality than it costs me to put on a 30-minute sitcom. But it doesn't mean it's cheap to put on reality.
Yeah, and I think like that's a good distinction to make, because it's all relative too. You know, like what's cheap to a millionaire is not cheap to guys like us, you know, the working men. So I don't know, but I think this is probably a good place to stop for tonight, because we don't really have there isn't a lot of news out there to talk about. You know, there's no card has been announced yet for Samhain. We don't really know what's going to happen after the 76. We know that they have at least 2 months of tapings in the can from Tampa, maybe more, probably not less. And we're kind of in a holding pattern until something changes.
Cool. So what's going on for the rest of you guys? What do you got to hype?
They almost Lucha Libre, your number one source for Lucha Libre action. If you haven't done so already, go like, comment, and subscribe. Si se puede. Or, you know, if you guys like this channel, keep doing what you're doing. DK, I was told that there was going to be some news coming soon. Do we have any news yet, or are we still waiting?
We're still waiting. There's one small hang-up.
Oh.
That's progressive.
Nothing major, just one small hang-up.
Well, that's progress.
Yes.
But so I think by the end of the month, everything will be settled.
Oh.
Woot woot.
Good news. Jaden, you have anything you want to talk about or push before we call it a night?
This weekend, Breaker Morant will be defending the Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators Championship at the Kevin Hogan Memorial event in Williamstown, New Jersey, against Ryan Mooney. That's going to be a really, really good match, and we'll make sure to get it up on the YouTube. Also, soon after this event, you're going to start seeing some matches from the Sacred Heart Church in Riverton. So make sure you add the YouTube, and when you see those matches, like, comment, subscribe, and share, please. And stay tuned, because hopefully there'll be some dates coming from Riverton soon. What are we talking about at the Sacred Heart Church?
Sounds good to me. Again, guys, we do appreciate you being a part of our streaming. And, of course, some of the most fun I have every week is hanging out with you guys. So thanks for hanging with me and my pals, DK and Jaden. If you would like to support the channel, like, comment, subscribe is the best way to do it.
And share.
And share. Helps the algorithm. If you want to financially support the channel, you could do that by getting yourself some W, which is a very clean powdered energy drink that helps you get through the day. Or if you need a trophy or an award to celebrate your fantasy baseball league, or Salesman of the Month award for your place of work, Trophy Smack has great titles and trophies just for that occasion. And or you could take out an opportunity to buy some merch. We have hats and T-shirts and all kinds of cool things, and more stuff coming to the merch store soon. So I do appreciate you guys helping us out with that. And we're going to wrap it up here. Have a good night, and we'll see you guys at the matches. Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of alliance-wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are The Alliance.